So if you won the lottery, what would you do with all that money? Tell me.
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd build my dream house, and then I'd give this business up. Yeah. There's got to be other ways to make money than this.
How would you spend it?
Real quick.
I would retire. That's what I would do.
Probably save it.
Probably invest it and go shopping.
I'm not really sure.
Be easy. No sweat, no pain. Buy a house, buy a car, bank the rest, and live off of it.
Probably buy some houses, I think.
Probably buy a new house.
Several new houses.
Move to Hawaii.
Invest in real estate, definitely. Buy a nice home in Playa del Rey and stick the rest of the money in a bank somewhere, but no stocks. I'm not dumb.
Get back. I still have a lot of money, so I'd probably do the same thing that I'm doing.
If I won the lottery, I will buy a house, a car, and go to Guatemala to see my family.
Yeah, I'd buy enough stuff to make toys for all the boys and girls everywhere in the world. And then I'd give them out just like I do now, only probably a lot sooner.
Hello, I'm Tom Lawrence.
And I'm Bruce Page. Would you like to know how to make your money work for you instead of you for it? Would you like to know how to be more in control of your finances so they don't control you?
Do you want your lifestyle to get better as you get older? Did you lose in the stock market crash and need to know how to bounce back?
How do you sort out the genuine deals from scams? And how much risk can your temperament cope with?
Would you be more money-wise to move or remodel? How could you turn just $20 a week in savings into $50,000 in 20 years?
Champagne wishes and caviar dreams we can't deliver, but we can promise the hour ahead will make you richer in more ways than one. Stay tuned as we guide one family and you through the money maze. A home, still the American dream. A home run, every batter's dream. The Ellis family appears to have it all. But home runs, like investments, aren't always a sure thing. A lesson of life as much as a lesson learned quickly in the money maze.
There you go. Look at the picture.
In many ways other than playing ball together, parents Russ and Renee and their children of Northridge, California, are typical of young families everywhere. Listen to how they see themselves groping through the money maze.
Well, if we had the money, I mean, whether we won the lottery or we made a lot one year, then we would go and find out what to do with it, first of all. I mean, we'd be down there making an appointment, but we can't really talk about what we do with it because we don't like to think about it because we don't have it. So why think about it? So when we get to that point, then we would definitely try to get some good advice. That's what we do.
And groping as a couple through the money maze with bills about matching their $3,600 monthly take-home pay is a constant challenge. Only partway along their now shared journey, how have the Ellises made it so far?
I guess most couples make decisions in unison. When we were first married, I didn't know that that was so necessarily important. We made some pretty big blunders, and recoverable though. And I think the greatest strength that we have in financial ventures is to be of one mind, so that our energies are behind it and that we really feel good about the decision that we're making together as a family.
He, if I could speak for him, he's visionary and will launch out. And I am not pessimistic, but I like to think I'm realistic. I like to say, well, this could happen, and we need to just have a buffer in case it might happen. So we kind of push and pull, and that's how we are unified, is we lean to each other's. I try to hop on the bandwagon of vision. That's how we got in this house. I had to say, okay, here we go. So I lean to him and his ideas and dreams and visions, and then I'm trying to have him at least hear me out on the realistic end of it. So that's how we are in finances. So anyways. Are we happy about that?
I hope so. I am.
Come on, Muscles. Come on, Bull.
I got it.
But the Ellises do have stresses, familiar ones to most households. With Renee the homemaker, Russ the sole breadwinner, the paycheck from his private chiropractor business stretches only so far. After office expenses and taxes, it amounts to less than $4,000 a month on average, their mortgage taking about 40% of that.
How does it taste?
What they really struggle with is how to balance meeting today's never-ending pressing needs with tomorrow's long-term concerns, the children's college education, their own retirement.
Thank you.
For now, the future takes a backseat to the present, and top priority, as in most families, is their home and children.
The main pressure right now is that our son is 6 years old and Sarah is 3. And we're finding he needs his own space. He needs a place where his little sister can't ruin his things. So we're really searching on that one as to what we should do. We have thought about, should we move, you know, but it's a great neighborhood. We have a great piece of property. The house has potential.
The pressure that we talk most often about is we'd like to expand our family, but before we can do that, we need to make room for the bedrooms. We need to make room for developing this house to contain what it is that we want to grow into.
Mm-hmm.
To move or remodel is a question facing many Americans. For answers, James Diekmeyer, president of the Building Association of the Southern California Remodeling Council, came to the Ellises providing advice for them and you. Don't overbuild. Why spend remodeling money you won't get back? A $150,000 home won't sell for that in a $100,000 neighborhood. Moving would likely be wiser. But weigh that carefully. What you spend on realtors in selling and buying, points on mortgage, and all other moving costs could easily run $25,000. Take the same amount and remodel where you are. You could easily be further ahead. Better lifestyle, your home worth more, and not so much stress from uprooting. What could you get for that amount? A National Association of Home Builders recent survey says average expenditures look like this. Generally, count on $60 a square foot, single-story addition, $75 a square foot upstairs, including some plumbing. As for the loan cost, $25,000 of remodeling at 10% interest will tack on about $210 a month extra to the family budget.
If you had one question to ask a financial planner, what would that be?
Where do we get the money?
Coming up from the experts, many answers on where you can get the money. But just ahead, what's your first step to recovery if you've been burned by financial calamities? And what's your first step if, like the Ellises, you want to begin an investment plan?
Money, get away, get a good job.
Well, the Ellises have made it over a major obstacle in the money maze, learning how to get two people to make one decision financially that impacts both of them and their family.
But now there's a new breed of counselor to help people, a financial psychologist, and Dr. Kathleen Gurney is a pioneer in this field. And Dr. Gurney, what can we all learn about getting ahead from what we have seen so far about Russ and Renee?
Russ and Renee are actually one of the profiles, one of the 9. They both are achievers, which was very interesting. And when I talked to them and I told them about that, I said, I bet I know what's been a tremendous challenge in your marriage. And I guess it was almost, you know, a little foreboding. They said, how do you know? And I said, from your profiles, I bet jointly making decisions has been a real, and they said, it's been the greatest challenge in our marriage. We just didn't know how to get together and do that jointly. And I said, well, how did you finally do it? And she said, I deferred to him, which is so typical of women in a traditional housewife role because the man should know better. And she said, I really felt that he did and that I should defer. And she said, I did get myself into trouble and get us into trouble. And her profile is one where you need a lot of involvement. Both of them had a high score on that trait. So say they had come into me and maybe even as a prenuptial counseling and said, well, how should we manage our money together? I would have said, you both should be integrally involved and not not let one person take the major role and the other person a backseat, because it will not work.
You talk about profiles. Now, what does that mean, and what are the various profiles?
When I developed what I call the Money Max profile, it's a questionnaire that really looks at the money attitudes that drive your behavior, how you earn money, save money, invest money, and spend it. And when I surveyed over 20,000 people in the United States, I found out that there are 9 different types or money personalities out there in the United States. And so when I got to know Russ and Renee, I found out that they were the achiever profile, while there are 8 others. And sometimes that's not always the case. In fact, often you see 2 opposite or very diverse people coming together, and also that it's very true of their money styles.
From your studies, what is revealed about what makes some people successful and financially secure? What is it that separates the two?
There are definitely some profiles that are more successful than others. And involvement is a key trait. You can't be financially successful and not be involved. You have to know what's going on with your money. Now, there are people who are very successful in their careers, but they don't want to manage their money 100% of their time. Yet there are people who they do monitor it. They hire good professionals and they monitor, and they do become involved in that decision-making process.
What if we were to take your test and turn out that we don't have a good money profile? Can we actually change our money profile to become more successful?
For instance, I'll give you an example of a woman that I worked with yesterday who had another trait that's very important in financial success is self-determination or self-responsibility. Do we really feel that we are going to be in control of our own financial destiny? If we don't feel that way, if we attribute perhaps financial success to a lot of good luck, being at the right place at the right time, then we're not going to be putting in 100% of our own energies. And you can change it. She's working with me now, and we've designed a plan because she heard about one of the other profiles that I talked about that's a high business success. She's in her own business, and she wants to learn how to be the entrepreneur profile.
Dr. Gurney, thank you very much for being our guest today.
Really interesting. Coming up next, a proven plan on how to make money work for you, minimizing your worries, allowing you to sleep tight. It worked for actor comedian Shelley Berman, who tells his story, and it can work for you. So stay tuned. As intimidating as it may seem to visit a financial planner when you don't have money to invest, have you ever thought it may cost you far more in the long run?
To help us all work our way wisely through the money maze, we invited a very unintimidating certified financial planner to be here today, Larry Krause. And Larry, how important is it for the Ellises to develop a savings plan?
Well, it's enormously important. Otherwise, a person's not going to get ahead. But what is going on is that you're taking their income, and what has happened is that they think in terms of the gross amount of money that they make, and they think they have a lot more money. Therefore, they live in a house that costs them almost half of their income, and that leaves not a whole lot of money left over for the raising of their children and for entertainment and so forth. So what happens is that, and it's not unusual for most people to get themselves into a financial bind and actually end up spending more money than they make through use of credit cards and so forth. And one of the problems that the Ellises have been having is making these estimated quarterly payments on their taxes because there is no money left, and that's what's happened.
One of the things that we were talking about just before we started this is that I was saying it's getting so much harder today to make money, and you said
it's getting harder to keep money. And that's what's been going on. You see, they're spending it on an ongoing basis. What Mr. Ellis should be doing is concentrating on his #1 best investment. That's himself.